This is happening right now in Jerusalem. The ancient archives beneath the Western Wall have revealed something extraordinary. Deep within vaults that haven't been opened for decades, temple scholars have discovered artifacts that were thought lost forever. The golden instruments, sacred vessels, and ceremonial items described in the books of Moses. They're real, and they're being carefully restored. The streets went silent. When word spread through the narrow cobblestone paths of the old city, merchants stopped their trade, pilgrims fell to their knees. Even the most seasoned archaeologists had no words for what they were witnessing. And when I tell you why, you'll understand what's truly unfolding. The mainstream media isn't covering this story with the reverence it deserves. They speak of historical significance, but they miss the prophetic magnitude. They don't want you to see what's really happening in the spiritual realm, but the truth can't stay hidden forever. You're watching this because God wanted you to see it. Something in your spirit recognizes this moment as different from any archaeological discovery before it. The ancient stones of the old city shimmered under the morning sun as Rabbi David Goldstein emerged from the underground chambers, his face glowing with wonder. The dome of the rock stood majestically in the distance, its golden dome reflecting the early light. Synagogues, churches, and mosques all seemed to hold their breath in this sacred hour. The same soil where prophets walked, the same streets that heard the Messiah's footsteps, the same city where King Solomon built the first temple with divine instructions. The phenomenon began 3 weeks ago. During routine preservation work in the Western Wall tunnels, workers discovered a sealed chamber marked with ancient Hebrew inscriptions. When the stone seal was carefully removed, they found not just artifacts, but a complete workshop where temple vessels had been hidden nearly 2,000 years ago. Golden lampstands, silver trumpets, bronze lavers, and ceremonial garments, all preserved in pristine condition, as if time itself had stopped to protect them. The craftsmanship matched exactly the descriptions given to Moses on Mount Sinai. "I've been studying temple archaeology for 40 years, said Dr. Sarah Klein, the lead researcher. "This isn't just a discovery, it's a divine appointment. These artifacts were waiting for this generation." A young seminary student who witnessed the first opening said, "When they lifted that golden menorah into the light, the whole chamber seemed to glow. I felt the presence of the Almighty like never before." This isn't coincidence, this is prophecy in motion. What the prophets saw thousands of years ago is unfolding before our eyes. The prophet Haggai declared, "The glory of this latter house shall be greater than the former." Haggai 2.9. Ezra wrote of vessels being returned to Jerusalem for the house of God, Ezra 1:7. The continuity of God's plan spans millennia, and we are witnessing another chapter. In the New Testament, Jesus himself spoke of the restoration of all things, Acts 3:21. The Apostle Paul wrote of God's unchanging purposes for his chosen people, Romans 11:29. The threads of prophecy are weaving together in our time. My friend, can you feel this in your spirit? Do you realize we are witnessing what generations only dreamed of? God is moving the pieces of the end times. The veil between heaven and earth is getting thinner with each passing day. This is the preview of the greatest event in human history, the return of divine glory to Jerusalem. The temple instruments are being prepared, and the stage is being set for something magnificent. What happened in those tunnels wasn't just archaeology, it was the hand of the Almighty revealing His timeline. While the world focuses on politics and conflict, God is quietly preparing for His ultimate plan. In the next chapter, I'll show you what the restoration teams discovered when they examined these artifacts more closely, and why their condition defies every natural explanation. Until then, stay ready, stay faithful. Maranatha. Something impossible is happening in Jerusalem's restoration laboratories. The sacred artifacts discovered beneath the Western Wall are revealing mysteries that leave scientists speechless. As master craftsmen carefully clean centuries of dust from these holy vessels, they're discovering something that challenges everything we know about the passage of time. People left their work and gathered at the Israel Museum. When news spread about the condition of these temple treasures, believers from every nation began arriving in Jerusalem. The restoration workshop, normally closed to the public, opened its doors for the first time in history. Even experts had no words. Professor Michael Rosen, the world's leading authority on ancient metallurgy, examined the golden lampstand for 3 hours in complete silence. When he finally spoke, his voice trembled. "This metal shows no oxidation, no wear, no age. It's as if it was crafted yesterday." The laboratories in the Rockefeller Museum have become a place of wonder. Conservators work with reverent precision, their hands steady as they handle instruments that once served in Solomon's temple. The bronze work gleams like new copper. The silver shines without tarnish. The gold radiates warmth that seems to come from within. They don't want you to see what's really happening. Secular archaeologists are struggling to explain these findings. Carbon dating shows the artifacts are nearly 2,000 years old, yet they display none of the deterioration that time should have caused. They speak of unusual preservation conditions, but they cannot explain the impossible. You're watching this because God wanted you to witness his supernatural preservation. Something in your spirit understands that this transcends natural law. The ancient stones of the conservation lab seem to pulse with holiness as Dr. Rachel Cohen, head of Temple Artifact Restoration, carefully lifted each piece. The workshop windows faced the Temple Mount, where the dome of the rock glowed golden in the afternoon sun. Jewish, Christian, and even Muslim visitors stood together in awe, recognizing the sacred nature of what they were witnessing. The same craftsmanship that adorned the tabernacle in the wilderness, the same divine specifications given to Moses in the cloud, the same glory that filled Solomon's temple now touching our generation. The miracle deepened as restoration continued. When conservators began cleaning the high priest's breastplate, they discovered that the 12 precious stones, representing the 12 tribes of Israel, still held their original brilliance. The Urim and Thummim, the sacred lots used for divine guidance, were found in perfect condition, their mysterious properties intact. Most remarkably, the golden bells attached to the high priest's robe still ring with perfect pitch, their sound carrying a resonance that seems to touch the soul. When master craftsman Moshe Levi first rang them, workers throughout the building stopped what they were doing and listened in reverent silence. "The sound is unlike any metal I've ever heard," said Levi, whose family has crafted religious items for 7 generations. "Oh, it's as if the bells remember the songs of the Levites, as if they're waiting to serve again." Dr. Cohen made another startling discovery. Hidden within the base of the great menorah was a scroll, perfectly preserved, containing detailed instructions for temple service written in ancient Hebrew. The text matched exactly the descriptions found in Leviticus and Chronicles, but included details that had been lost to history. This isn't preservation. This is divine preparation. The prophet Malachi spoke of the Lord suddenly coming to his temple, Malachi 3:1. Zechariah saw a vision of golden lampstands and olive trees, symbols of God's anointed ones, Zechariah 4:2-3. These weren't just prophecies about the past, they were previews of our future. Jesus promised that he would return to Jerusalem, Matthew 23:39. Paul wrote that all Israel would be saved when the deliverer comes to Zion, Romans 11:26. The temple artifacts are being prepared for a purpose that spans both testaments. My friend, can you feel the acceleration of God's timeline? Do you sense that we are living in the days the prophets longed to see? God is preparing his house, gathering his people, and revealing his glory in ways that make headlines around the world. This isn't just about archaeology or history. This is about the restoration of all things. The temple vessels are being made ready, and the king is preparing to return to his house. The restoration teams have made another discovery that will change everything we thought we knew about the temple's original glory. Write in the comments, Maranatha, the artifacts are ready, come Lord Jesus. Share this message so more people can witness what God is doing in our generation. In the next chapter, I'll reveal what happened when they assembled the complete menorah and lit it for the first time in nearly 2,000 years. Until then, stay ready, stay faithful, and keep watching Jerusalem. Today, the impossible happened in Jerusalem. At exactly 3 p.m. Jerusalem time, as the restoration team assembled the great menorah according to its original specifications, something occurred that left everyone present trembling with awe. The 7-branched golden lampstand, dormant for nearly 2 millennia, began to glow with a light that seemed to come from heaven itself. Jerusalem stopped this morning for a reason no one can explain. Word spread through social media, WhatsApp messages and phone calls across the city. Thousands gathered outside the restoration facility. Traffic ceased. Businesses closed. Even the call to prayer from nearby mosques seemed to pause in reverent recognition of what was unfolding. And when I tell you what happened next, you'll understand why this changes everything. The mainstream media is calling it an optical illusion, a reflection of laboratory lights, but those who witnessed it know better. They saw light without an external flame, radiance without electricity, glory that photography couldn't capture but human hearts could feel. You're watching this because your spirit was drawn to this moment. Something inside you recognizes that this light has shone before, in the wilderness tabernacle, in Solomon's temple, in the presence of the King of Kings. The conservation laboratory transformed into a sanctuary as master craftsman Moshe Levi carefully positioned the final branch of the menorah. Dr. Rachel Cohen stood nearby, her hands folded in prayer. Representatives from various religious communities watched in respectful silence. The windows faced the Temple Mount, where the afternoon sun cast long shadows across the ancient stones, the same golden glow that guided Israel through the wilderness, the same divine fire that never went out in the holy place, the same presence that will one day fill the earth as the waters cover the sea. The phenomenon began when they completed the assembly. Following the precise measurements given in Exodus 25, the restoration team connected the 7 branches to the central shaft. Each lamp was positioned exactly as Moses had been shown on Mount Sinai. The moment the final piece clicked into place, witnesses saw something that defied natural explanation. A soft, warm light began to emanate from within the gold itself, not reflected light, but generated light. The glow intensified gradually, illuminating the entire laboratory with a radiance that felt alive, purposeful, divine. "I've worked with metal my entire life," said Levi, tears streaming down his face. "This isn't reflecting light. This is producing light. The gold itself is glowing with the fire of God." Dr. Cohen, a woman of science and faith, documented everything with trembling hands. The temperature readings show no heat source. The electromagnetic sensors detect no electrical activity, yet the light is real, and it's beautiful beyond description. Security cameras captured the glow, but somehow the footage appeared muted compared to what witnesses experienced in person. It was as if the light chose whom it would touch, speaking directly to hearts prepared to receive it. This isn't science. This is the supernatural breaking into our world. The prophet Zechariah saw this exact vision, and he said to me, "What do you see?" I said, "I see a lampstand all of gold, with a bowl on the top of it and 7 lamps on it." Zechariah 4:2. Isaiah prophesied of a time when the light of the moon will be as the light of the sun, and the light of the sun will be 7-fold. Isaiah 30:26. Jesus declared, "I am the light of the world." John 8:12. John saw a vision of the New Jerusalem, where the city has no need of sun or moon to shine on it, for the glory of God gives it light. Revelation 21:23. The menorah's light connects heaven and earth, past and future, promise and fulfillment. My friend, do you understand what you're witnessing? This isn't just about an ancient artifact coming to life. This is about the light of the world preparing to return to his holy city. The menorah is lighting the way for the King of Kings. The light burned for exactly 7 hours. From 3 p.m. until 10 p.m., Jerusalem time, the menorah glowed with supernatural radiance. Religious leaders from Jewish, Christian, and other faith communities gathered to pray and worship. The atmosphere in the laboratory became so thick with God's presence that some could barely stand. Rabbi Goldstein, who had first discovered the hidden chamber, wept openly as he recited the Shema. "Hear, O Israel, the Lord our God, the Lord is one. Blessed be his glorious name forever and ever." Father Antonio Vargas, a Catholic priest visiting from Rome, said, "I felt the same presence I experienced during the most sacred moments of Mass. This light has touched the face of God." Pastor James Wright, leading a tour group from Georgia, declared, "This is the glory of God returning to his temple. We are witnessing prophecy fulfilled before our eyes." At exactly 10 p.m., the light began to fade. Not suddenly, but gradually, like a sunset in reverse. The golden glow withdrew into the metal itself, leaving the menorah looking like any other artifact, except for those who had witnessed its glory. They carried that light in their hearts. As the last rays disappeared, Dr. Cohen made a startling announcement. "Tomorrow, we begin assembling the Ark of the Covenant, and if the patterns hold true, we may witness the return of God's glory in ways that will shake the foundations of the world." God is moving the pieces of prophecy into position. The temple instruments are awakening. The stage is being set for the greatest event in human history. In the final chapter, I'll reveal what happened when they opened the most sacred artifact of all, and why world leaders are now flying to Jerusalem in unprecedented numbers. Like this video if you believe God is still revealing his glory today. Share this message with everyone who needs to see what's happening in the Holy City. Until then, stay ready, stay faithful. The King is coming, and his light is already shining. This morning, Jerusalem became the center of the spiritual universe. At dawn, as the restoration team prepared to examine the most sacred artifact ever discovered, a golden chest that matches every biblical description of the Ark of the Covenant, the impossible became reality. World leaders, religious authorities, and millions of believers worldwide felt an inexplicable pull toward the holy city. People left everything and looked toward Jerusalem. Presidents cancelled meetings. Prime ministers boarded emergency flights. Religious leaders from every continent announced pilgrimages to the holy city. Even secular reporters admitted feeling drawn by something beyond understanding to witness what was unfolding. And what happened next will change the course of human history. They're not reporting the full truth about what's occurring in that restoration laboratory. They speak of archaeological significance, but they cannot explain the supernatural phenomena surrounding every artifact. They describe historical importance, but they miss the prophetic magnitude. You're watching this because the Spirit of God has prepared your heart for this moment. Something deep within your soul recognizes that this isn't just about ancient history. This is about our eternal future. The restoration facility had been transformed into a place of international significance. Security surrounded the building as dignitaries arrived from every nation. The ancient stones of Jerusalem seemed to vibrate with anticipation as Dr. Rachel Cohen and her team prepared for the most significant moment in archaeological history. The same presence that dwelt between the cherubim, the same glory that led Israel through the wilderness. The same throne room of the Almighty that will one day be established on earth as it is in heaven. The phenomenon began before they even opened the chamber. As the team approached the sealed container holding the golden chest, sensitive individuals throughout Jerusalem began experiencing visions, dreams, and spiritual encounters. Prayer groups reported simultaneous revelations. Children drew pictures of angels. Even animals seemed to sense something extraordinary approaching. "I saw light pouring from the Temple Mount," said Maria Santos, a pilgrim from Brazil. "Not with my eyes, but with my spirit. I felt called to pray for Jerusalem like never before." Rabbi David Goldstein, who had first discovered the hidden artifacts, spent the entire night in prayer and fasting. "I felt the weight of history and the hope of the future converging in this moment. The God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob is about to reveal his glory to this generation." When they opened the container, heaven touched earth. The golden chest, perfectly preserved and radiating warmth, bore all the specifications given to Moses on Mount Sinai. 2 cherubim faced each other with wings outstretched, their craftsmanship so perfect they seemed ready to take flight. The mercy seat gleamed with a gold so pure it appeared liquid. But the most astonishing discovery came when they carefully lifted the lid. Inside, wrapped in pristine linen, were 3 items that confirmed every biblical account: Aaron's rod that had budded, a golden pot containing manna, and the stone tablets bearing the 10 Commandments, written by the finger of God himself. "The moment we opened it," whispered Dr. Cohen, "the entire room filled with the presence of the Almighty. It was like standing in the throne room of heaven while still on earth." World leaders began arriving within hours. President after president, prime minister after prime minister, all citing urgent diplomatic business or cultural interest. But their eyes revealed the truth. They were being drawn by the same spirit that called Abraham from Ur, that led the wise men to Bethlehem, that will one day gather every knee to bow before the King of Kings. The Pope announced an immediate apostolic visit. The Orthodox Patriarch of Constantinople declared it a moment of divine revelation. Islamic leaders spoke of signs from the Most High. Buddhist and Hindu representatives acknowledged a convergence of spiritual energy unlike anything in recorded history. This isn't politics. This is prophecy fulfilling itself before our eyes. Isaiah saw this day. "It shall come to pass in the latter days that the mountain of the house of the Lord shall be established as the highest of the mountains, and all nations shall flow to it." Isaiah 2:2. Zechariah prophesied, "Many peoples and strong nations shall come to seek the Lord of hosts in Jerusalem." Zechariah 8:22. Jesus promised that he would return to Jerusalem. Luke 21:24. Paul wrote that every knee would bow and every tongue confess that Jesus Christ is Lord. Philippians 2:10-11. The ark represents God's throne on earth, and the king is preparing to occupy it. The glory began manifesting at sunset. As the sun set over Jerusalem, casting golden light across the Temple Mount, something unprecedented occurred. The restored menorah in the adjacent chamber began glowing again. The ark itself emanated a light so pure that those present could barely look upon it directly. But more than light, there was presence. The same Shekinah glory that filled Solomon's temple, the same divine presence that overshadowed Mary, the same power that raised Jesus from the dead. It was all condensing in this single moment, in this holy city, before this generation. Foreign ministers wept without understanding why. Hardened security officials fell to their knees. Skeptical journalists found themselves praying for the first time in decades. At midnight, Jerusalem time, the convergence reached its crescendo. Every major world leader was either in Jerusalem or en route. Millions of believers worldwide reported simultaneous spiritual experiences. Prayer movements erupted spontaneously on every continent. Children began prophesying. The elderly shared visions of coming glory. Dr. Cohen made one final announcement that sent shockwaves around the globe. "We have discovered architectural plans, perfectly preserved, for the third temple. Construction begins at sunrise." My friend, can you feel the acceleration? Do you sense that we are living in the final chapters of human history as we know it? God is gathering his people, preparing his house, and revealing his glory in ways that make the entire world take notice. This isn't just about archaeology or religion. This is about the return of the King. The throne room is being prepared. The instruments of worship are ready. The nations are gathering. What happened today stopped the world, but what's coming next will transform it forever. The artifacts are restored. The plans are revealed. The glory is manifesting. And soon, very soon, the one who inspired every prophecy, fulfilled every promise, and conquered every enemy will return to claim his throne in the city he loves. Write in the comments, Maranatha, come quickly, Lord Jesus. Share this message with everyone who needs to prepare their hearts for what's coming. The King is coming to Jerusalem. The question isn't if, it's are you ready? Until his appearing, stay ready. Stay faithful. Stay watching. Maranatha. He is coming soon.